Hey, gang. It's Friday. God damn, do I need it. Another 4 a.m. morning. That's why you heard the intro song twice this morning, because I needed it. Not to wake up, but to get caught up. Let's see, there's that. And I think I am caught up. All right, let's do this. Um, oh, there we go. We need a background. We always need a background. If I had one, would be awesome. There it is. No hashtags right now. That's coming. I think. I think also. Oh, is that? Yeah, there he is. Matt's here without a camera. I think. Let's see what's going on, dude. No, not yet.
What's up? Give me a second. I'm connecting my channels.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. So insider trading. And Josh Hawley. I mean, I don't usually agree with this guy on a lot of different things, but I think it's kind of time to address the issue. Whether it's Nancy Pelosi or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Bobo, I think it's time to take a look at the obvious. And Josh Hawley agrees with that, but Trump doesn't. Go figure. Calling the senator from Missouri second rate and a pawn. And then on top of that, Nancy Pelosi will fire back about the various accusations that she's engaged in insider trading. More tariffs are on the way, because who didn't know that? We got a new month. Might as well have new tariffs. As Trump creates additional, as he calls it, sources of income. Apparently, just not for the American people. Bill Burr is woke and replies to Ben Shapiro, among others, for calling him woke, and goes on the offensive in a way that only he can. But first, we're going to do something we have not done in a year and a half of getting together on Fridays. Matt and I are going to talk baseball and the salary cap that the commissioner of Major League Baseball is apparently on a national tour, as he's stopping in clubhouses to talk to players and make them in favor of a salary cap. He did that in Philadelphia and apparently did not do his research. You're talking about a city who booed and threw snowballs at Santa Claus during the Redskins game. And I can say Redskins because that's who they were playing at the time. Because Santa Claus dressed in red. And yet he goes into the Philadelphia clubhouse and is surprised when Bryce Harper gets in his face and says, "Not today, Satan." What I've looked into this so far, and this is where I want you to jump in, Matt. This seems to be a hard line for the major league owners. And that when the current trade agreement stops, or the working agreement stops or ends at the end of the 26 season, they're going to take a stance. And a lot of sports writers and broadcasters I've been listening to this week have been saying it's a ground ball. There's going to be a work stoppage come 2027.
Maybe. I think it's just interesting because it's the owners that did this.
Yeah.
The owners did this, and now they're all mad because you see people like the Dodgers deferring payments and $1 billion of contracts for 30 years or something like that, paying Shohei Ohtani, like a couple million a year, or I don't even know what he gets paid, like 5 million a year or something, deferring like the other 70 million over like I don't know how many years. And then at the same time, you're trying to get all these other good guys there. And so you're just like have like like the Dodgers, their pitching salary is the same salary of all of the Cleveland Guardians. Or I think it's even more. Um,
You're saying just for the pitchers of the Dodgers,
just for the pitchers, like it's more
that's
than the
the
salaries
entire
of the Cleveland
salary
Guardians, all of
for
them.
the entire Cleveland Guardians. Yeah.
And so it's like, and so they did this to themselves, and now they're cranky. And I think that there's two things that we have to think about with this. The number one is that I'm more worried. I'm more worried about the clubs itself and the guys, because I don't know how this is sustainable. That you're deferring so many contracts. I mean, you're doing the same thing with Juan Soto. You're doing the same thing with um, Shohei Ohtani. You're trying to figure out ways to get these best players for these billion-dollar contracts, which is absolutely insane. And you're putting them in a who's the guy that keeps getting paid every year and he's still getting paid? He gets, what is it day again? It's not Barry Bonds. It's
Oh, I'll have to. You mean a guy that's
we just had
retired?
it like last week, and he deferred his contract. He gets paid like every year 1.3 million or something.
He's retired, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like we literally talked about it 2 weeks ago, and I'm just blanking on his name. So silly. Doesn't
Um,
matter.
it's common for retired MLB players to continue
I
receiving
know
payments on
there's a day. There's a day. No, I know it's common, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm
Bobby
missing the day.
Bonilla.
There it is, Bobby Bonilla
Sustains.
Day. There it is.
Okay.
So you have all these people, and I'm more worried that the clubs and the owners are deferring these contracts, and the time's going to come where they either move the team or bankrupt the team, or kind of shut down their operations, and they just go, okay, we made a lot of money, we saved on these contracts, and next thing you know, these guys are out money, and they're trying to sue a team that doesn't exist anymore. And I would not be surprised if that would happen. Maybe not for the Dodgers or the Yankees or some of these institutions, but the Marlins. You know, like how you could unbrand the Marlins, and honestly, half the MLB fans won't even notice. you
Yeah.
know, so I'm worried about that. The second thing I'm thinking is my brother said it the best. Is like he's like, Stop talking about you know salary caps. Why don't we start talking about minimums? And maybe there should be a minimum that teams should be able to pay in salary in order to be competitive. So you stop coming with this, Cleveland Guardians. We have cheap owners. You're still billionaires, and you pay 94 million a year in salaries compared to something that's like 600 and something for the Dodgers or the Yankees. It's like
Yeah.
if you can't pay 250 million a year, you can't be an owner. Simple as that. And so I think that's actually a better idea than a salary cap.
And weed out the bottom end that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we
Yeah.
want competitive baseball. I mean, but the thing is they're
Right.
coming out. There's like kind of this exploitation. I want to say, but I don't want to see exploitation. It's weird. You go to like the Dominican Republic, you sign into these contracts that are like nothing. You get them from the DR. You put them in your farm system. They get paid peanuts for the most part, which is good for them because they're coming from the DR or whatever. So it's
So
all
it's still
relative.
a good wage for them.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't want to. I don't. And
Yeah.
that's why when I walk back and say, "Oh, we're getting for, we're exploitive." It's not really exploitative. You're giving this opportunity that they would never have before in the MLB. But like, and then you have these cheap owners that just won't pay these guys. They develop your teams. They don't make them competitive, and then they just ship them out and sell them to the Yankees.
Yeah.
And you're basically taking advantage of all your Cleveland or Pittsburgh fans because you have these cheap owners that figured out how to do a real profitable business.
What is the excuse for owners like Cleveland or Florida when they're not spending all kinds of money but could? How do they explain that? What is the business strategy that's supposed to make sense to their fans that they use to explain that away?
Small market. I mean, that's what they always say is small market teams because a lot of I think their money comes from broadcasting rights, and when you have a market like Cleveland, which is basically the Cleveland's an interesting one because Cleveland is sandwiched between a lot of different baseball, and so we literally only have like the northern part of Ohio, right? And so you have Detroit to the right of us. We have Pittsburgh to the left of us. We have Cincinnati to the south of us. And if you want to go north, we actually have Toronto, ish. I don't know really if that's directly north. That's more like Detroit. But so like we only have like a very small section of probably a population of 3 to 4 million people that support the guards on a daily basis. That's different than say if you're in the Bronx where you have 3 to 4 million people in two boroughs. You know.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously everybody's Yankee fans. Everybody, and you have something like the Dodgers, which has a huge, reach when it comes to their market. So, like, it is an issue. But at the end of the day, you do have these billionaire owners that have these vanity projects that don't really care for baseball. That just say, "Hey, I want to own a team because I'm a billionaire," and then they don't invest in these teams. And I think that a salary floor is actually a really good idea. And just like say, if you don't care about baseball, you don't care about your team, and you can't afford 250 million a year in salary, then you can't own a team. And I promise you, you will get baseball fans out there that are billionaires or have the money that can go in there, make a business, make a profit, and still support a team and pay people and have competitive teams.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when, yeah, I'm stuttering now. The small market argument. How do the Chicago White Sox use that at whatever they are now, 33 and 66, 34 inches, something like that? That's not a small market. You've got two historic teams in one city and in an area where there's plenty of other teams. Is that too competitive? Because they're in a stadium deal right now, and they're even contemplating moving not just up the street to a new stadium, but they were tossing around the idea of moving altogether.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because the Cubs is different because they are a institution and they have like this, like they are a tourist destination. I just got back from Wrigley Field a couple of weeks ago, and
Yeah.
there's a joke that says it's only tourists and yuppies that go to Wrigley Field. It's not really baseball fans. It's just tourists and yuppies that want to show off. The place is expensive. The place is, it's always jam packed. They're going to sell out no matter what because and their tickets are astronomical. Their hot dogs are just crazy. So they have a 196 million dollar salary. But then you have the Chicago White Sox, which is in not the best part of the neighborhood. Nobody really needs to go to the games because you have Wrigley right there. I mean, if you do, you're going because you're a Sox fan. I mean, I'm just playing, the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have a
No, but that
Midwest
was
city, which
those were the arguments that the Sox were making. Like, yeah, we're going to get a new whatever $1 billion stadium. Why? We're right across the street from Wrigley.
well, they're
Or
not right
how is it
across the street
moving?
from Wrigley, that's for sure.
No, but I thought the new place is actually going to be in the same neighborhood as
Oh, is
Wrigley
it? Well,
Field.
Wrigleyville's a cool spot. I mean, that'd be a cool spot to have another ballpark, but I don't think it can support it. The thing is, like, one thing that Cleveland talks about quite a bit is the just the again the market. It's we have a
Yeah.
small city. We used to be a big city, where we could support all this, but the city itself went from like almost a million people in it into like 360,000. We have a big
Wow.
metro area, which is about 2.5 million. I mean, if you want to go down to I'm sorry, Akron and Canton, and count all of that in and the surrounding counties, I mean, we're probably around a 3.5 million. But it's
Yeah, but
still a
there you're
hard.
also, I know Canton Akron especially, you're also getting into minor league baseball,
Then you're getting
which
minor league baseball, and an hour and a
that's
half.
become huge because of the fact those stadiums are very much more fan friendly. They're very
Yes,
much more affordable, and they're
yes,
people that actually want to go to the major leagues, so they care about the game they're playing.
yes, yes. The minor leagues is definitely for baseball fans and supporters. And so anyway, and it's an hour and a half, an hour to an hour and a half drive from Canton up to the stadium. So look, you're still talking about Chicago having to support two teams, two MLB teams, plus basketball, plus football. It's a lot for a city to support. Even though city it's the number two, number three biggest city in the United States, it's still a lot.
You're talking. You're back to Chicago now.
Well, I'm just talking about both. Like that's one of the arguments that we have in Cleveland. It's like we have a basketball, a baseball, a football team. We got all these different sports teams. We have like we're talking about the WNBA coming in there, and it's like, dude, we only have X amount of people and so much, resources. So like, what are you gonna do? Keep milking we want to have a good team, but you can't just keep milking all these little niche fans for all these little things. It's like we're football. Honestly, we're if it wasn't for LeBron James, we wouldn't really be a basketball town, in my opinion.
Right. 100%. 100%.
Um,
And for our international audience, you heard the word football. Remember, that is American football, not what we would call soccer. Just to keep the UK and Australia and others on the same page as us. So we can't move on from this without addressing the biggest issue of this whole story, and that is Major League Commissioner Rob Manfred has been apparently making a tour and stopping, with in different locker rooms with like retired players that he's getting to support his argument. And so I guess, are they being called scabs or sellouts or anything like that now? And he's stopping in different major league clubhouses. And again, for those outside the U.S., a clubhouse in Major League Baseball is the locker room. Literally, it's the locker room. This dates back more than 100 years when that's really what it was called. That's really what it was. There was a membership to play in a baseball team and so on. And so the clubhouse is the locker room. It's a sacred area for a team. That's their house. And he's going there. He's coming in. The commissioner is oftentimes actually one of the owners, but is an employee that is selected by the commissioners to represent the league. Like back in the day, Bud Selig was the commissioner of Major League Baseball. He was also the owner of, who was it, Milwaukee? I think it was. The Milwaukee Brewers, I think. But then there's also people like Bartlett Giamatti, who came up from being the president of the National League. Before that was the president of Harvard University and was promoted of sorts from being the president of the National League to the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Didn't own anything, but still represents the management, still represents the owners. So that's the boss. And he's coming in to talk to players, treating them like lower level employees, kind of trying to get them to come around to the management side. And one of the star players are the Philadelphia Phillies, who is a city that is well known for speaking their mind. A player by the name of Bryce Harper stood up and walked into the middle of the room, got face to face with Manfred, and said, if you want to speak about that, you can get the fuck out. And turned around and walked away. I think he kind of represents most, if not all, of the players' union when he says that, because of the same arguments you just gave.
I agree with Harper. I don't know if I like his tactics, but first of all, I think that if you're the commissioner, I think it's really in bad taste to be going to the locker rooms trying to convince him of whatever he's trying to convince him of. That's like for a union discussion, not to go and try to go straight to the employees. I think I don't know even know if that's legal, to be honest with you, in terms of laws of talk about union and group negotiation.
Yeah, when
Because that sounds
having
like a
been
little
in
bit like
professional,
union busting, or like, if like it's
yeah,
like, you know how like like some companies would put out like pamphlets in like the lunchroom or something to say
yeah,
joining a union, or doing this or that will we reduce our costs and our profit, and then we'll have less vacation time. And it's like, it almost sounds like he's kind of doing that, but in person.
yeah, yeah. That was the exact thing. Having been in professional baseball, I know, like I said, the sanctity of your clubhouse. And I was an umpire, and it was the same thing. We had what's called a clubhouse attendant, who was our buddy, and that's all they did was get us food and help us with equipment and whatever else. That was our space. And when I first heard this story, I thought, no, he's not gonna. That's not right. He's not gonna. And I looked into it. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what he did. Was he went into the clubhouse, and when you do that, if you do it like before a game, they don't want to talk about that. Then they've already talked about that. They've already signed whatever deal that they're getting paid with,
Yeah, exactly.
and now you got to bring that up again there.
Yeah, you take it up collectively, because that's a collective bargaining thing, and it was really weird, and I can't believe that they're not going to sue him for that, or some kind of like again. And how if that was a think of it as a Ford plant, and the CEO came into your lunchroom and said, "Hey, I know you guys are on break right now, but let's talk about you guys making too much money." Like, at the
Yeah,
lunch table.
yeah,
Like, what are you doing, dude? Get out of here. Like, I gotta go back to work, and I'm not dealing with this shit right now. Like, it's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. There's a time and place for everything, and the reason why I called bullshit at first, or another reason why I called bullshit at first, was this is the commissioner of Major League Baseball. He should know better. Like, why would you think that's even okay? And not only is he doing it into the Phillies, but like I said, apparently he's on a world tour. Like he's been doing this already, and he's not. I guess I don't know if that stopped him or or what the result of that was. Uh, but apparently, sources from the commissioner's office said that this is kind of broken up statement here. Sources said responded that he was not going to get the F out of here, saying it was important to talk about threats to MLB's business and ways to grow the game.
Dude, you guys did it to yourselves. This is
Yeah,
not the employees thing. You guys messed this up from the beginning with these huge contracts, and you guys messed it up. And here's the other thing. It's like, let's just take a baseball player's career and put it into like manufacturing. It might not be the same thing, but let's try to make the similarities. Imagine you're from, let's just call it anywhere in the world, or even Mexico, which is actually maybe a good comparison, or even the United States, and you say, you know what, I really want to work at the Ford plant. And for the first, 5 years of your career working at the Ford plant, you make $2.75 an hour or something.
yeah,
And and if you are the best riveter, or if you're the best person to put on the tires, or the best engine checker, or whatever the hell you do over there, you can go
right,
up to the Ford plant, but the real Ford plant, but only at minimum wage of 7.25 an hour. And now you're on the line, and you're riveting, and you're putting on the tires, and you're checking under the hood, and you're doing all that stuff. And if you're good and you don't get injured in that time, because if you're injured, they're just going to let you go. But, or maybe they're trying to get you back, depending on if they think you're good. But you have to go, and then maybe after you're bound up in a contract, after a couple more years, they're going to give you a proper salary. So you're, but at that time, how many people get injured or quit or can't or traded, or all kinds of different things, that you just wasted 10 years of your career trying to come up to work in the Ford plant, and they say, nah. But at the same Ford plant you're working next to, you might be the best riveter on the line there, but you're working next to another riveter that makes $15 million a year. And it's like,
yeah. That was
it's
weird. That was that was the first time in my life. Well, actually, yeah, no, that was the first time in my life where I got paid differently from someone standing alongside of me doing the exact same job
Mm.
as an umpire. You know, my rookie, my second year after I got promoted, I was working with other senior to me umpires who were getting paid almost twice what I was to do the same job and actually put up with less shit.
Yeah,
And
and
that
it's
was just
way
weird.
more, it's way more egregious in baseball where you're talking about the minimum is, look, I'm not saying that it's a little bit of money. 700,000 some plus odd dollars for the minimum salary of the MLB is a lot of money. But
Yeah.
considering what it takes to get there, to have the start and to be good,
Mhm.
and I think this is one thing that like Cincinnati's having a conversation about, and like somebody people like LA De La Cruz is having a conversation. Like he is one of the better players in baseball right now, but he's still on the minimum. We had the same conversation with Stephen Kwan over in Cleveland. He's one of the better players in baseball, or the best contact hitter. But he was on a minimum until last year, and it's just like, well, what happens to their career if they get injured? What happens to their career if something
Yeah.
happens? What happens if they, and it's just like, well, then they just did. They now what did they do? Their whole life was dedicated to playing this. So you're basically having this risk assessment as a player of, can I stay healthy? Can I compete? Can I make the teams? In the hopes of getting that big contract, and that big contract still could be $2 million a year, not the 15 or 20 million like these other guys. LA is probably going to be in the $15 million range if he can make it. But if he doesn't, you're going to see that guy selling cars at maybe De La Cruz Subaru in 20 years,
Yeah.
talking about how he used to be one of the best in baseball, and driving a minivan. That's how it's going to happen. So I don't, even though I think these some of these salaries, like the $1 billion contracts, are egregious it's just unheard of money.
Yeah.
You do have to assess, like, not everybody gets those, and the risk to getting there is so great. How many people don't make it? How many people fall off? How many people play minor league ball their whole career because they just don't make it? And it's like,
Right here.
exactly, dude.
Yeah, and that was actually one thing that I was always appreciative of when I was in minor league baseball. And the structure of minor league baseball is different now. They've changed it. But when I was there were two short season types of leagues, meaning that it wasn't 5 months long like professional baseball. And that's because one was called Rookie League, where the entire league was nothing but first year players in major league, or excuse me, in professional baseball. They all just came from college or even high school. And the second was for those still at that level, but no longer rookies. And that was called Short Single A. That started in like June after the College World Series was over and went for 2.5 months to the end of the summer.
And what was the pay for those?
As an umpire, I was making more than the players were,
Mm.
unless with the exception, and that's by contract. That was never going to change, with the exception of some kid that gets a signing bonus, which is not a part of a salary cap or any other limitation. I mean, there was no salary cap for baseball, but that's not a part of any other limitation that they can contractually pay a minor league player. But my point of all that is, when I was in minor league baseball, there were 183 of us that were in the minor leagues, from rookie league all the way up to AAA, which is the level right below the major leagues. 1 in 100 minor league umpires would be considered for Major League Baseball. That's just, oh, Matt Deemer, he looks good today. We'll have to take a second look at him. That's considered. 1 in 200 would actually get the job. Now, out of 183, and you don't even have 200 umpires there, what do you think my chances are?
Right.
When there's already probably half a dozen guys in AAA that have been what's called optioned. That's the equivalent of an umpire being drafted. At that time, there were two leagues and two staffs, two teams of sorts of umpires. There were umpires that worked in just the National League and umpires that worked in the American League. And so when you got to AAA and you got evaluated more closely for, being promoted for the last time, the presidents of each league and the supervisors of each league would take a look at you and say, okay, yeah, we think he understands the designated hitter role. We'll take him in the American League or whatever. And so when you do get promoted, that's the place you're going. And so with of that stat, and still 6 guys already waiting to go because they've been chosen, that makes it even suckier.
Yep.
And professional baseball acknowledged that. And that's why I'm kind of wondering if they've got something for this at the player level. Acknowledge that the chances of 98% of their employees actually achieving the career goal they're trying to do, because I didn't go to umpire school to go into minor league baseball.
Right.
I went into umpire school to go to Major League Baseball.
Now, there's a couple ways of looking. I mean, okay, there's not a couple ways of looking at it. I think that everybody should be looking at it like, if you are a minor league player and you are so lucky you get to play the game you love and get paid for it. First of all, most minor league players can't pay their bills doing minor league sports, so you're not getting paid. You have another job, or you're waiting tables, or something like that, or you're doing something else. So on the off season, but you're really lucky to be doing this thing. But remember, there's a risk assessment that you're making right now. Like you are saying, like, well, I am 24 or 25, maybe 26 years old, and I'm playing AA ball. And now I have 10 years. I'm sorry, I have 8 years after college or something, or 4 years after college that I'm not working on my career or any career. And so I'm gonna do it for 2 more years. You're 30 years old, and then you have to start a career on a degree that you had
100%.
that you got paid ball, and now you're making the same or less than you were in your minor league career, trying to start to do the thing into your 40 to start making proper money. And so you're always gonna have this risk. And how many people just drop because they have that assessment and said, like, if I'm not gonna make it
even
to
worse, and this is what I saw at umpire school, and why I'm glad the baseball umpire development program had what it did. They had career counseling for us. They said, look, you're probably going to get disappointed by the end of this career because you're not going to make Major League Baseball. We're actually smart enough to help you get ready for that next chapter. And when I was in umpire school, I saw some of the instructors that were minor league umpires in the minors for 10 years. And they're still in AA. Like, dude, you're not going to make it. You're 40 years old.
I mean, maybe he loves it. Maybe they love it. That's fine. But it is
the wife and kids.
But it is exactly. It's the risk and the money potential thing that you're doing, and that's fine if they're dreaming, they're happy. But now we're just equate it to everybody else who's listening to the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping to get paid the millions of dollars. Not everybody gets there, dude. And that's the thing. And even umpires, if you're talking about umpire school, like what's your guys' salary? Like 3 something, 4 something?
At
at the MLB.
The minor leagues, it was monthly.
Right. I know you guys don't make anything there, but in the MLB, it's like what? I think it's 400 a year.
That's for like a crew chief. When I was there, a crew chief topped off at $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year to umpire Major League Baseball. Shit.
MLB umpires, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So that you can get up to make a $500,000, but you're still making like 200. So like you could have been a doctor and been doing way better.
Yeah.
or an engineer or something, and you would have had a guaranteed job for the most part.
And that's the other thing is that I when I saw that at umpire school, I made that decision that if I did not see me making the major leagues, like I did not have a rocket strapped to my ass for whatever reason, I'm out. I'm not going to be that guy that hangs on for 10 years
Yeah.
with zero touch with reality, who can't say, okay, you know what? This just isn't going to happen. I gave it my best shot and it didn't work, which is exactly what I say. I said the same thing about hockey when I didn't make the National Hockey League. I made the major leagues of law enforcement and spent 21 years in the U.S. Secret Service. Now, try to start that career after 10 years in the minors.
Right. At 35 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a real
When,
it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And a lot of these careers, a lot of people don't realize is like some of these careers too that you want to go into, especially when it comes to law enforcement or the Secret Service, there's already caps on it. You cannot apply if you're over
right,
35 on some of these things. So
right.
it's like so
It's just
right
going
when
to
you
say
get
that. Yep.
so it's like
Entitled.
that whole industry is done. If you want to be a firefighter or law enforcement, a police officer, Secret Service, the FBI, they're just like, bro, you're 35. We're not taking you.
100%.
You can't even apply. You can't even show up.
Yeah. My vintage, as we call it, like we're fine wines or some shit. Uh, we, uh, we were lowered. The minimum hiring age was 25. It was lowered to 21 and it was upped to 37. But they couldn't go any higher than that because to get a minimum of 20 years, you're already going to hit the mandatory retirement age,
Right.
56.
I don't like that there's a like that you have to they're counting that because the Cleveland police was doing the same thing just last year or 2 years ago maybe. And they're like there was the minimum of I think 40 years old to join the I think it was 37 actually to join the Cleveland Police Department, but there's nobody joining. And so they upped it I think to 50, but then you just are not part of the retirement. And but they had this whole restriction where it's like there are plenty of capable people to. I mean, look, if you're 50 years old, you're probably not running down bad guys. But I mean, you could be on the street directing traffic. That's a thing you can do.
You ready for
Um,
this?
sure, ready for it.
Here you go. Let me share a screen here for a minute. This is what you could get if you were to come on to the U.S. Secret Service right now. A
You make that
recruitment
bigger.
bonus is
I don't think anybody
available.
can see.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, it's a little small.
Let's go wrong one.
There you go. That's a little better.
A recruitment bonus is available for newly hired positions in these applicants for the uniform division and spear recruitment bonuses may be eligible for $50,000.
Oh, so they're trying to find
And
people
signing
bad,
bonus.
huh?
The first installment of $15,000 will be paid following successful completion of the Secret Service Uniform Division training. This is for the UD. The Uniform Division is like our uniform police department that's also around the White House and other areas of Washington, D.C. The second installment will be paid following 1 year of service. So now you're up to $35,000. Third installment will be paid up to your third year of service and acceptable performance rating. So you got to have kissed ass that whole time. And then the final installment of $15,000 will be paid after a fourth year of service, post training, and acceptable performance rating. Then there's also a continuing service agreement where you're going to stay for a certain period of time. So that's $50,000 for the uniform division. $60,000 if you go in to the UD and also become a canine handler, because apparently they need dogs. If you go into the counter sniper program, that's the guys on the rooftops, it's $60,000. The emergency response team is the uniform division SWAT team, also $60,000. The counter assault team is the agent SWAT team. So if you come in from, say, Cleveland Police, where you were a lieutenant on the SWAT team, and you try out for this SWAT team and you go right to the SWAT team, you get a $60,000 bonus. For a GS7 agent, that's your first year salary.
Mhm.
And you get that spread out over a 4 or 5 year period, whatever it is. So
So long
you're
story short,
essentially,
is they're hurting for people and they're trying to get them
oh,
enticed to
100% they
come.
are. 100% they are. This is hazardous agent mitigation and medical. This is another SWAT team that's agents. That's the Chem Bio people is 60,000. And your basic special agent, like I was, we only get 40. But you see, one of the installments is $10,000. That was the signing bonus I could have got 25 years ago if I was fluent in Spanish.
Um, Inflation, sir.
Now they're paying 4 times that to just be an
Inflation.
agent.
Inflation, and remember you're going to get taxed about 50% on that too. By the way, guys, so don't get
Yeah,
too happy about it. All right,
yeah,
so let's talk about some politics. I think we're going to top politics. I mean,
yeah.
we milked an
I
MLB
think
for an
so.
hour.
So let's just start with what's your impression or opinions of Josh Hawley, Republican senator from Missouri?
I
What do
don't
you
really
think
know
about
much. I don't know much about him, but wasn't he the one that also did the minimum wage bill too last month? He proposed upping the minimum wage from 7.25 to $15 an hour.
that?
I think that was him.
I think you said that, yeah, because he's the one who stole it from the Democrats.
He stole it from the Democrats, and now he's stealing from the Democrats this ban congressional stock trading. And so, um, what I think about him, I think that these are two really politically smart things for him to do.
Yeah,
And I don't know about his state. What state is he from?
Missouri.
I don't know how his state is trending. I don't know if he's really trying to be more of a moderate because of political wins over there, or if he's just part of like a bigger GOP plan to try to have a good policy for a change. Um, well, let's just say these kind of policies for a change. Um, but it's smart. It's smart.
So
Now, can they get it done?
yeah,
And
yeah.
what the Republican caucus is gonna figure out, and I think faster than the Democrats, because the Democrats are still sipping the hopium. Is that if you
Yeah.
don't get this shit done, that you're going to have your base revolt, and this is what the Democrats are starting to do a little bit, is revolt because you've campaigned on this already, Democrats, and you haven't got it done. All of this has been campaigned and talked about or ignored to a point that is just egregious, where you have Nancy Pelosi banking millions of dollars off of trades, and Ro Khanna, and Ro Khanna loves to talk off both sides of his mouth. I like Ro Khanna in terms of his policies and what he says, but what he does in the background is his wife trades stocks and he's a multi millionaire, but it's his wife's money or whatever the hell that he talks about with that,
Yeah,
which is absolutely
that's what
hypocritical.
Pelosi's going to say.
Yeah, it is. It's just the stupidest thing. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene getting in on it. Everybody's getting in on this grift, and so nothing's probably going to get done. But if Republicans get this done, then they are now going to be. I'll feel real bad for the Democrats and their time going forward if the Republicans get something like this done.
Well,
It'll be
well,
almost impossible for them to win again, I think, for a long time.
apparently, where did I just see that now? Here we go. Senate advances bill banning lawmaker stock trading. So I guess
I
that
think
means
it's out of committee. I think, is that what happened?
Yeah,
So
yeah, and apparently he's fighting. There's an internal fight between him and Rick Scott from my state, Florida, who is a known MAGA bitch, and Trump has called Hawley, excuse me. Trump's called Senator Hawley second rate and a pawn. And I'm like, really? He's a pawn. What do you call Rick Scott then? And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's jumped ship and doesn't support you anymore. What was she that whole time? So, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, Hawley's most recent, I'll just call it what it is, dick move, was when he badmouthed the entire time the big beautiful bill. And then he turned around and voted for it.
Oh, Rick Scott?
Hawley.
I don't remember him doing that, but whatever.
Yeah, he said
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying that I don't remember that.
No, I don't think it was during our Friday episode. I think it was one of the other days of the week. I played a clip of him talking to the media and saying about how, I really thought hard over this, and this is not what we need. This is not what we want. Blah, 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 blah. We're not finished with this yet. So I don't know. Maybe don't vote for it now and keep working. But they make themselves sound wise. And they're just the biggest dumbasses. Here's what he had to say in his defense. From Politico. That's him there. Said he has love for the president. See, no, he doesn't. Just say it. Say, I'm a moderate Republican. I'm representing my people, not a billionaire. That's going to sound a hell of a lot smarter than that he's got love for the president, somebody that I don't know why you would have any love for, and would seek to make changes to the legislation to win Trump's support. Yet, this is how Trump works. You want to make changes to the legislation, you need to pull it off the table. That's how he negotiates. In the wake of searing criticism from President Donald Trump, Senator Josh Hawley defended his legislation that would ban stock trading among lawmakers, the president, and the vice president. In a True Social post Wednesday afternoon, Trump called the Missouri Republicans a second-tier senator and criticized his bill as a win for the Democrats and so bad for our country. Why is that so bad? When the people, Donald, you're supposedly representing, can't trade at all because they can't even put food on their table. Yet these guys are grifting day after day. Here you go. Hawley's bill was advanced by the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee Wednesday morning in an 8-7 vote, with Hawley, the lone Republican, voting with Democrats. Listen, I want the president to sign the bill, so I'm happy to do whatever it would take to get him to say, yes, this is good. Hawley told reporters following his exhortation by Trump on social media. I want results. See, this is what he does. He talks big. This reminds me, this isn't going to go anywhere. 8-7 because he flipped. You're not going to get that many people in the rest of the entire 100-member Senate to flip to get this through, let alone get it through the House. He talks a big game here, knowing this ain't going anywhere.
Well, see, here's the thing: it is everybody's been talking this big game for a long time, and knowing that it could go somewhere. It could go somewhere. The people want it. The people have been asking for it for decades, and I think it's just a grift unless it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's two ways. There's two ways to think about it. There's the short-term game. The short-term game is the Republicans talk about all of the things that the Democrats should have done, and they win for the next. They win on messaging for the next, say, 4 to 8 years.
Yeah.
And then to the Republican base or any Democrats that went over to the Republican side or independents that went over to the Republican side or started voting Republican because of all this talk, to figure out that they're not going to do anything either, just like the Democrats didn't do. Or that's the short game. The long game is they actually pass one of these things. And that means the minimum wage or the this congressional stock trading or term limits or something like this. And if they do something like this and just one of those things make it through, then I think that they have the long-term capture of the independents that are now voting Republican. Yeah, because you're not gonna the Republicans aren't gonna hop ship because you pass minimum wage, even though a lot of Republicans actually there's a debate of if do we need a minimum wage when it comes to the markets making the price, stuff like that. Sure, you can have that debate. But there's a lot of people that say, hey, it's been around since 2009. It's time to up the minimum wage, guys. Like this doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
So anyway, it doesn't matter what your position is I think that people are starting to move around as independent voters and trying to figure out where they are because of the lack of getting things like this done that make total common sense for the constituent, yet nobody's doing anything. There's no political will, or actually their incentives are in their favor to not do anything because they now they can trade stocks. So if they do release something like this, I think that the Republicans are really locking down a legacy for the next generation.
I think also this kind of equates to the term limits argument. You're not going to see Congress put term limits in for themselves unless hell freezes over. Just like you're saying with the trade, the trade banning of insider trading, they're not going to do it to themselves unless somebody like Josh Hawley steps up and says, you know what, people, come on, no rookie senator is going to get this passed.
Yeah,
Josh Hawley's no rookie, and he's no dummy either. And even if I think he's a lot more of a long-term type anyway. He probably already knows what the vote's going to be, probably down to the senator, whether or not it's going to pass. And if it's not going to pass, he's pushing it anyway because he's using this for his own grifting for the next thing that he proposes, and is going to be able to push through.
yeah. I think this is a Republic. I don't think this is. I don't think this is his own personal grift. Honestly, I think that this is a Republican plan of basically co-opting Democratic talking points that they've already lost. That the Democrats have lost confidence that the Democrats can get done. And so I
But
think that even though he's the one that's doing it, I don't think that
that's
it's
what I
like
mean when
his
I say
personal
grift.
grift.
I don't mean personal grift as like, he was making money. Maybe he's now just trading crypto instead.
Or I thought you. I heard it
No,
as his personal grift,
it's Hawley's
like
personal grift, I mean he's benefiting from the fact that he's the one suggesting, "Hey guys, we need to
okay.
police our cities."
Mhm.
Whether or not that gets through, he's still going to be able to carry for the rest of his career. That when this does finally come through, he's going to say, "I told you so." And that's why
Yeah,
I
no,
say
I agree with
fixing the
that.
dummy.
Yeah, I think it's smart GOP tactics. I would say that if he actually wanted to get through, and first of all, just by proposing it, and making this conversation, people like Nancy Pelosi or whoever else has a lot of stock trading, dude, you're messing with their money. Now we're talking about like, right? You mess with somebody's money. That's a that's a whole different story. But he could honestly, I think he could get this through if he actually just politically and had the political either IQ or the political competency or will to leverage the people, because I can't see many people being opposed to this. So I think that if he actually wanted to go out there and like do like barnstorm this one topic around the country, I think that the people would force it on Congress easily.
So apparently, Hawley actually talked with Trump about this, not just back and forth on social media. But the second half of this, and within the same week that this is all going on between Trump and Hawley, Nancy Pelosi goes on CNN and gets in a pissing match with Jake Tapper about her allegations of insider trading. I
Hey
gotta
Ross, I'm
admit,
gonna eat a banana. Are you gonna be able to keep yourself calm through this?
well, I got to focus because I got to try to find the video of Nancy.
Okay, okay.
I wish I should take a break too. I got to fill my coffee. Yeah, here we go. Okay, well, Well, first of all, we can't have a good episode without Caroline Levitt. And then I want to see her actual pissing match, but maybe this one. All right. Caroline.
We were reporting that the president wants to meet David Solomon of Goldman Sachs today. Can you say what they'll discuss, if anything, in that meeting?
I won't discuss the president's private meetings from this podium, and it hasn't taken place yet unless he gives me liberty to do so.
And finally, have you talked with the president about his position on the stock trading ban bill before Congress? He obviously had pretty loaded comments about Senator Hawley. There's some reporting that they've since spoken. What is his position on the current status of that bill?
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he, of course, supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves. And the reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
Nancy Pelosi is the GOAT, full-on GOAT. I mean, honestly, she should be advising Berkshire Hathaway. She should be advising, all these other stock traders. She probably should be advising Wall Street because she is the GOAT. But to say that Nancy Pelosi is the only person that's doing this is just complete bullshit.
That's a lie.
It's a lie. They just don't have as much money as Nancy because she's been doing this shit for decades. She's been stacking paper.
Well, I was freshening up the coffee and I was listening to her say that. I was wondering, she's saying about the growth of Nancy Pelosi's profile or portfolio rather, over X number of years. What was Lauren Boebert's? What was Marjorie Taylor Greene's? What was Josh Hawley's?
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, we could look.
And
look, Unusual Whales does. Unusual Whales doesn't.
You're not a huge fan of whataboutisms, but
I just don't like it, dude.
This
it's a problem. It doesn't matter who does it.
So much as it is a problem on both sides of the aisle.
It is a problem on both sides of the aisle, 100%. But I'm going to pull up Unusual Whales really quick.
Okay.
And see if we can't find. And he usually has this pinned. There it is, the full congressional report from congressional stock trading. He has a pin there. I think he has it on his website too.
Let's
see here. I'm sharing it in the private chat. There you go.
You can put it up. All right.
I'm not a big fan of sharing my screen.
That's wrong. I got to bring it down here.
I just have all kinds of tabs open, and I don't have time to audit to see what I have open. And it's not porn, guys. Relax. But it might be personal information.
Mine often is, and that's why that's always on a separate window that I can minimize, or in an emergency, just chop out.
Yeah, I'm on a laptop, and so who knows what they're looking at and what apps are there. So I just try. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's
so here it is. Top political traders of 2024. I think we got this by color. So David Rouser, Republican, had a growth of 149%.
Not bad.
Yeah. Debbie Schultz, Democrat, 142.3. Ron Wyden, Democrat, 123.8. Roger Williams is 111. Morgan McGarvey, a Democrat, 105. The next four are Republicans: Larry Buskin, Pete Sessions, Susan Collins, David Kustoff. Finally, we get to Nancy Pelosi, who only had a 70.9% growth.
Loser.
And
Look,
to be
but
clear,
we realize that's
the
70.
names-
Realize that's 70% growth at $100 million.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she didn't go from $100,000 to $170,000. She went to $100 million to $170 million. So she's a
Dude, Marjorie Greene sucks. She only had a 30% growth.
look. I don't.
Day trading, that's ass kicking, to be clear. But
or just riding the market, the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Let's be clear though. Like, if I know plenty of people that if they're just some of their portfolios, especially if you were leveraged, and this is 2004, if they were leveraged in Bitcoin, say at the beginning of an election and then at the end of the election in 2004, 2024, they would be up, 100% easy if they had, Bitcoin to the right, cryptos in there. So like this could be misleading of somebody who's maybe holding the right thing that goes up. If you're holding the Nvidia stock from 23 to 25, like you're up, over hundreds of percent, and you're like, but there's a difference between what they do and what just holding a stock and whatever. And that has to be clear. Is what they do is you see them buying and selling before legislation. You see them buying and selling committees that they sit on.
Oh, yeah.
You see them buying and selling companies that are either in their district that they're proposing legislation for, or tax refunds or tax rebates or some kind of government support. So there's a big difference than saying I bought Nvidia and I held it and I got made 200% 1 year because I just had a great stock. Then I actually passed legislation for Nvidia that's actually in my county or in my district that gave them a huge tax break. That then number went up because now they have a government contract that I voted on.
Right.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's what's crazy is that what you just talked about is literally the definition of insider trading. It's not like you're a member of Congress and you got some extra money. You've got interns following the markets for you, doing something that you've learned because you're on that committee. That's exactly what insider trading is.
But I mean, they're not doing it, dude. They're not doing it. Remember, they're not doing it. They're going home to dinner and saying, it just so happens if I might have been on a committee today that could have maybe passed a bill that maybe would have given advantage to NVIDIA. I don't know if I did that or not, but if I did, I would put $100,000 in NVIDIA right now.
What you just talked about is called criminal conspiracy. It's the same thing. When you engage in a criminal act with another person for the purpose of furthering that act,
but it's not a conspiracy, sir, because you're just having dinner with your husband or wife at home, and because husband and wife talks about things. Yeah, what can you do? They just talk about things, man, and for some reason,
you're doing an amazing job at playing devil's advocate today.
Hey, I mean, I don't think the government should get into the middle of a couple's relationship and their intimacy, sir. And
okay. Then tell me what I can and can't do in the bedroom.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, just as long as you're buying Nvidia stock, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That's different because we're talking about morals and children's values and all kinds of other bullshit that they don't care about. So Nancy has apparently fired back.
Let me.
I got to turn a speaker.
God, I just can't stand looking at her, dude. The fact that she's still in Congress just makes me mad. Her and Maxine Waters and all these people, it just bothers me that they're still there.
She's what, 85 or some shit?
20 years past her expiration date. That's what it is.
Just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about that.
Not Nancy.
But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything.
Horrible. Crazy. It's absolutely insane.
So he's always reflecting.
So there you go. You were right. They were talking about it at dinner. She had nothing to do with it. And but she took the same approach that Trump is taking with the Epstein files. Nothing to see here. Move along. Oh, no, what the hell's happening? Oh, this is the thing in Cleveland or Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati 911, what is...
I'm trying to...
We weren't prepared to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. I don't know about that. And it's pretty inflammatory, so we should get our facts straight before we talk about it.
Yeah, no, this is an automatic play. I can't. I got to physically stop it or the next one just kicks in. Yeah, the same playbook with insider trading that Trump uses for Epstein. Nothing to see here. Keep moving. Move along. Meanwhile, literally an entire country is going, yeah, no, there's plenty to see here. And we need to see it. We're entitled to see it. And you're going to show it to us. And she's fighting to the bitter end, which sadly has
insane. It's absolutely insane because that's the grift. It's the grift because it's politically impossible. Look, I'm going to be, and this is an unpopular opinion. I don't think Congress people get paid enough. I don't. I absolutely don't.
I agree.
And everybody that they look at $174,000 a year and they're like, I don't make $174,000 a year. Well, you're not keeping 2 residencies. They say, well, you have a big recess. You don't work this many. You know how much work you're doing in your district on recess days? Like you are nonstop.
So that one I'm going to push back on because I've lived here coming up on 4 years in rural Tampa. Rural Tampa. I have been trying to get a hold of my congressman multiple times a month for the entire time that I've been here. I have not.
They just don't want to talk to you, bro.
Oh, you're damn right they don't. I have not as much have received a return email, let alone a phone call or a meeting with Gus Bilirakis, who is known for ditching and ghosting constituents. But I do have the ages. You're right about Maxine Waters. She's 86 years old. Bernie is 83. I'll tell you what, for 83, this is the argument that just a strict age is not a good standard. Because I just saw him speak earlier this week, and dude's sharp. And
I don't think age is a good standard. I think it's time. It's time in Congress, dude. You get term limits.
Yeah, that's it.
You get elected. I don't care when you get elected, but like term limits, bro.
Yep, that's it exactly. Give that representative or senator a reason to get something done while they are there. Let them develop their legacy because you're only here for 12 years.
So anyway, Superfan Ken, he said, somebody explained to me how much they get paid, and yes, it wasn't enough. And look, over here in Cuyahoga County, the judges get paid more than congressmen. And judges have 6-year terms, and so look, and they're not keeping 2 residences. I just don't. I know that people always go back to like, hey, this was never what it was supposed to be, and this was supposed to be, the volunteer for a service for your country. These are jobs, dude. Like, it's not the same thing. You have to travel, you have to drive, you have to organize, it's a lot of work to try to get consensus for a district, and you have to have two residencies. But it's just politically unpopular to try to give yourself a raise, and every time they do, the Congress gets hammered in the media. So what they're going to do is they're going to go to the people that they want to keep in office and keep happy. Is, hey, start. This is how you trade stocks. I think that this is what they're doing instead of actually giving themselves a raise, which they should.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And I get the how should I say? I get the pushback from the people with regards to giving themselves a raise.
I get that too. I absolutely get it.
But I think that would be much less so if they had a reputation for getting anything done. And they don't. We're in, 7 months now. And we've got what passed?
Look, I'm with Warren Buffett. Like their jobs and their cost of living adjustments and their salaries should be adjusted, but they should have some kind of KPIs or metrics for the basis of their job. And Warren Buffett says anytime that what is it, the debt to GDP ratio goes over 3%, higher than GDP, then you are gone. Congress is a clean house. You have to keep it within 3% of GDP or so, or I think that's what he says. Anyway, I don't know what the metrics would be, but like you have to give people some kind of direction or some kind of job description of saying like, this is what you have to do. You have to do this, and if you don't do this, there's repercussions. The problem is only in these jobs is you don't have any kind of like direction. It's just like, hey, you just hired me to be basically a representative that I run my own business and get paid a salary and have an expense account and then do whatever I want to do until I get voted out. My only job is to get back in. That's the only.
Yeah, and that's shout out to David Beckmeyer, host of Outrage Overload, joining us now over on Instagram. Yeah, that's my issue with Congress, with the House, and not with the body, but with their work environment. They are there for 2 years, and that's it. So by the time they get in, especially for a freshman, they barely know what they do for a living on a daily basis, and it's time to run for re-election again.
Yeah.
And that's another very, especially for that time frame, that's another very inefficient system, is that all 435 members of the House run for re-election every 2 years at the same time. How are you supposed to be back in D.C. when you've got Donald Trump primarying you? And you barely make it through that if you do. And you're in a purple state.
Yeah, I wonder.
And you got to go up against.
I wonder why they didn't stagger that, like half run 1 year and half run the next year, even if it's going to be 2 years. I don't know why they didn't stagger that.
They kept it on even years because 200 years ago, getting information back and forth from California was not easy. That's why when the election was in November, the original inauguration days were in March.
Mm.
It was another 6 months before the I'm stuttering out the yesterday. It was another 6 months before the Electoral College finished what they actually had to do, which was then much less of a ceremonious thing. It was, an issue.
Logistical issue. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Anyway.
I don't think it was until maybe Buchanan or in that area when it was moved from March to January. You're looking
No,
that up?
I'm not looking that up.
Okay. So that's Nancy. She's pushing back. It was her husband. She had nothing to do with it. She has no idea what
I
we're
think they had
talking
something
about.
to talk about of campaign finance too.
Yeah, that was Bernie. I'll pull that. I just saw that. That's when I told you how he was sharp. That's what I heard him talking about.
Nancy is just, and see the Democratic Party, they won't let people like her go or push her out or conspire to get her out. Like she either has too much power or they just don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Because if you got people like Nancy Pelosi out of leadership, I think the party would just be better off for it. Just, I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Hakeem Jeffries, but he's a little Pelosi puppet anyway.
Well, I mean, I think it's one thing being a puppet, and it's another thing, listening to your mentor and others that and others, other members of that caucus. Here we go. Here's Bernie making an amazing point as to why campaign finance is something that needs to be taken a look at.
Let me be very frank, I'm an independent, caucus with the Democrats. If you are a Republican right now and you announce, you know what, I went back in my district, I got a lot of people on Medicaid, a lot of kids who want to go to college, I am not going to support this terrible piece of legislation. You know what would happen to you the next day? Elon Musk would say, great, we're going to primary you, I've got unlimited amounts of money, and we're going to beat you the next time you're up for election. If that's what you want to do, that's what the consequences of it will be. But on the Democratic side, and this is what we've got to deal with, I happen to believe that what is going on in Gaza right now is horrific, that we are seeing children right now as we speak starving to death, massive malnutrition. But why do you think more Democrats are not speaking up on that issue?
Money?
Yeah, of course. If you speak up on that issue, you'll have super PACs like AIPAC going after you in the same way Elon Musk goes after Republicans. So what people have got to understand is right now what the corrupt campaign finance system is about is that billionaires can put unlimited amounts of money. Why do you think Elon Musk has been the most powerful person in government? It has everything to do with $270 million he donated to make sure that Trump got elected. That is a corrupt system. And if we're ever going to have a government of the people, we need to change it.
There he is. And, I was never a burner. I was never feeling the burn. It doesn't mean I can't get behind him. I didn't see him. I didn't see him beating Biden in 20, especially when it was still down to between Biden, him, and Buttigieg. But that doesn't mean he's all washed up. If we don't have term limits on congressmen, I'm glad to see him still there.
Yeah, look, I think that the people, the finance that goes into politics in the American people, oh man, there's so many things that are messed up with it. Finance is just the tip of the iceberg. I think the gatekeeping is the other one, but finance is a huge thing in the American political system that is completely messed up. We have to have complete campaign finance reform. It's the only way to have fairer elections, even if we don't fix gerrymandering. And honestly, I don't know if you can fix gerrymandering because it's all pretty much subjective. Gerrymandering is
actually California's done that. Give me a second, I'll pull that up. But I want to share a comment from Instagram too. Actually, from Instagram from David, host of the Outrage Overload podcast, also found on Yerg's Radio. I'll read this is small, I'll have to read it. David said KPI should align with the explicit and implied constitutional duties of Congress. Legislative KPIs, bills passed, etc. Fiscal KPI, spending versus GDP, oversight KPIs, etc. Maybe also transparency and bipartisan cooperation metrics. Yeah. I mean, that kind of gets into what I'm about to share, that Gavin Newsom, and I know you're not a fan of him either, but he brought up a good point. Let me find this quickly and redistricting. He just talked with us about. Here's another one that you're not a fan of, that he talked with about it. Brian Tyler Cohen was up in.
He actually, I think he's a grifter, but he was on the Bill Maher show the other day. I don't know if you shared it or somebody else shared it, but he actually
Cohen?
wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get to watch it yet.
he's trying to change his image, I think, a little bit from being a little prick to like a little more gruffy, like
I
hard
told you.
speaking kind of guy.
I said
But
it.
so he's a grifter, and he's
Mhm.
trying to change his image, but he's trying to change his image because he sees that the way of the times, he's trying to stay relevant. But I've started to like him a little bit more in his new image.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to do. Gavin Newsom knows how to adapt, and I know that's.
No, I was talking about Brian. I was talking about Cohen.
Oh, okay.
No, Gavin's a piece of shit.
Well, that one you're going to get. You're going to agree with David. I know David's not a huge fan.
Because at least Brian Tyler Cohen, I know what he is. Newsom is supposed to be the representative of people, to do the thing for the people, and he's just I don't know. I don't like him. There's not many people I like, because nobody can just be honest, and just be honest. And you have to own your bullshit, and nobody's really owning their bullshit. And they just try to keep playing this game of, like, and it's just so dishonest, and it's just, you can see through it. I can see through that you're not that person. I can see through your bullshit.
What is the image that you said that that you said Brian is now portraying?
If you look at him on, like I said, the Bill Maher podcast, I don't know what the Bill Maher one he does.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'll find it for you. Whatever you're looking for, I'll find it for you. We were talking about gerrymandering for some reason. You said,
yeah, he was. This is the interview that he's getting. I'm trying to find the actual interview where he was talking. These are just the shorts, and I don't want to go through 10 minutes of different episodes or different clips from the episode of his conversation with the governor. I think that might be part of it. Here we go.
I'm joined now by the governor of California. We're here in Sacramento in the governor's mansion. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, great to be with you. Thanks for coming up.
So you met today with the delegation from Texas. Obviously, Greg Abbott in Texas is looking to gerrymander those maps even further. So first and foremost, what is the state of possible mid-cycle redistricting right now?
In California, we have an independent redistricting, which I supported.
So that right there, they've got independent redistricting, and he's going to tell you about how he tried to push it to a national thing that never caught on. I think we all know why that is.
One of the few Democrats at the time that publicly supported it, elected Democrats at the time, to move away from partisan gerrymandering, which should happen. And the point we made then, when it was on the ballot, was it should happen all across the United States.
Right.
That didn't happen, hasn't taken shape. And so what's happened is now we're at a disadvantage. We're trying to play by one set of rules, and these folks on the other side have played by a completely different set of rules. So much so that the President of the United States called Greg Abbott and told him, in essence, find 5 additional seats so we can rig the election next year and maintain the power and authority with the House of Representatives, which de facto amounts to no power
no authority, complete capitulation so Trump can continue to run roughshod over our rights and liberties.
So what are the options presented to us right now? I know that there's going to be some legal hurdles that if push comes to shove we'll have to look at. But what's on the table as of right now?
So right now, the most important caucus is the delegation of Democratic representatives in the state of California that would have their districts changed mid-decade. Then, number two, we need to get 2/3 of our California legislature to put it on the ballot to create a special election. And then three,
Be right back.
The ultimate authority will be vested in the people of the state of California who will have to make the determination of whether or not we should continue to play by one set of rules.
Wish I had admin abilities so I
these
can mute
guys
this guy.
to rig the game and play by a wholly different set of rules. So that's one process. The second one is a legislative process, independent of the independent redistricting. There's a novel legal theory that it's silent about redistricting sort of mid-decade, mid-census. And
okay,
so
I can actually expound on this without listening to him talk anymore.
Go ahead.
Which anyway, he's not saying bad things here, and he's trying to find solutions. And last, it's trying to find solutions about this. Ohio, first of all, let me just say that gerrymandering is always going to be contentious because no matter what, it doesn't matter who is winning or who's not winning, unless you have a clear metric, it's always going to be contentious. Like, for example, looking up California right now, it's 40 Democrats and 12 Republicans in their delegation, congressional delegation. But their governor, but for the governor vote, for the vote for governor was 60-40. And so that doesn't look like 60-40 split of delegates, yet their governors and people are voting as 60-40 for governor. So just with that metric right there, you can look at California and say, that doesn't seem fair. Why do you have that many more Democrats in House of Representatives, but there's so many Republicans voting for your governor? And I would say the same thing for Ohio too, which we're kind of in the middle of this same kind of discussion. Ohio's conversation, and I personally think that it should be that way, that the districts for Ohio should be drawn, or any state should be drawn the way that they're voting statewide, and maybe some kind of amalgamation of an average of all the statewide elections and like the split of those to see what the people are voting for and how they want their statewide to be ran, and maybe that could translate into how their state looks. Because we were trying to get an independent commission on the ballot last election to change Ohio's way that they make districts, and that was voted down. And there was I hate that sometimes that you have Republicans and Democrats give their side and everybody disagrees with them, but there are very good, interesting arguments from the side of not having an independent commission. First of all, how independent is it? How corruptible are they? Some people in our state that was on our ballot initiative, it said no politicians, nobody who was ever in politics, nobody who ever held office, nobody who's on a Democratic club or a committee or whatever. You had to be just a citizen. Which also were you educated enough to make a district?
Eastern Europe.
That's one. The other one would be like they're not elected, dude. These are appointed by independent judges, which was part of it. It's like we'll have these independent judge committee that would appoint some of them, and then some would be appointed by the governor or someone, whatever the hell. And it's like, but these aren't elected officials. We don't elect them. So why are we, making our politics and policies off of these people? So there's a lot of arguments against it that kind of makes sense when you're still trying to get some fair districts. So that's why I say that this gerrymandering conversation is never going to end, because there's always ways of looking at it, saying how it's not fair for me, how it's not fair for the state, how it's not fair for my community, how it's not fair for the city, how it's not fair for why are we here in this district with this person. It's never going to end. And the reason that that's never going to end is not only a couple of things. Number one, the density of cities. You're splitting blocks sometimes right down the middle, because when you have so dense cities, New York is a great example. Where's the split? Or with less dense places like Ohio, you have Ohio, which is a very populous state, 15 million people, pockets like Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, Akron, Canton area. But then again, if you take like Jim Jordan's district or Bob Latta's district, you can have yourself 17 counties in there that stretch a 2.5-3 hour drive. Then you're like, well, why am I with somebody on the lake over here with somebody that's next to Indiana over here in southern Indiana, which is basically Appalachia or some kind of Midwest state or Midwest culture, which are two different cultures. You just have no way around it. So there's never an ending argument about gerrymandering. So it's a fight that's always going to happen.
Well, I think that's what Gavin Newsom's, I'm not going to piss you off by calling it his brilliance, but at least his foresight to make it independent now. Yeah, it might kind of shoot him in the foot in that he's not going to have the Democratic dominance because of an independent assessment. But
he's trying to. It's not independent now. He's trying to make it independent. Is that what you're trying to say?
I thought he already did it in California.
Okay, so the California is now 40 Democrats to 12 Republicans. So I think that there would be an argument of why is it like that then? It's a Democratic stronghold. California is,
but it's not. How many Republican governors have they had?
But that's the argument against what they're doing over there. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like when the governor election is 60% for the Democrat, 40% for the Republican, but then you have a 40-12 split when it comes to representatives. It doesn't seem like it represents the state's feelings about how they're voting.
Right, but I think one of the things you're not taking into consideration is 40-12. That's who's going to Congress. Those are not guaranteed re-elections.
No, most of them are. Look, I can see.
Go ahead, and that's my point about why I agree with what Gavin Newsom's doing or has done, whichever it is that he has the advantage now. Now is not what he's thinking about. He's thinking about when that tide turns, and he's got a disadvantage. And the Republicans have the opportunity to do to California what they've already done to Ohio, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Texas, among other states.
How'd
you make out?
No, I have this one. This is a pretty good little picture here that I just sent to you in Messenger.
Okay.
Because it looks like they lost the seat. And then you can look at this map. I think that's interesting too, and compare the new map with the results of the results from counties of California. No, I'm not defending that they should be Republican or Democrat. I'm just defending that there's always gerrymandering from either side, no matter how much you're going to try to sugarcoat it from the whatever talking point. And it's always going to be contentious. That's always going to be contentious. You're never going to get away from that. But the interesting thing about Ohio's map is that right now our congressional maps, as much as everybody doesn't like them on the Democrat side, they are kind of following our statewide election maps, because we have our election results are something like 65% for the Republican governor or Republican statewide official to 35% for the Democrat, and we have a 10 Republican representatives and 5 Democrat. So that seems pretty accurate, sadly.
I don't know if you froze or if I froze, but
yeah, you left. You left.
Okay. On the screen is the map that you sent, and the solid red is solid GOP, solid blue, the opposite, and then as the each shade gets lighter is where it becomes transitional.
Right. So this is the old map, and then this is the commission proposed map with the 52 districts is I think what they're operating off right now, and it got better for Democrats and Latinos, they said. And you saw that how there's still some red, but there's blue now on the east side of California. There is blue on the south. There's blue in the middle. There's blue in the middle. There's all kinds of stuff there. Now, if you take up the governor map, take a look at the governor map that I sent you. Pop that on. And just take a look that the governor map follows more like the old map than it does the new map of Congress, and how they're voting. And I could look at something like Ohio. I really don't want to be defending this because I hate gerrymandering, and I don't think that they're playing, especially in Ohio, playing fair. But I do want to look at the results for like governor race election results.
It's not letting me open it for whatever reason. I don't know
Okay,
if
I'm sorry.
If it's still a shitty internet connection or what's going down.
I think I might have sent you something here. Here, let me just send you a JPEG. Here's a JPEG.
Okay.
I just sent you a JPEG, right? Doom. So it wasn't a JPEG. There you go. Here's your JPEG.
All right. Let's see if I can open this one. There we go. All right. So that's the governor map.
That's the governor map. So if you compare the governor map to the old maps of Congress and the new maps of Congress, you see the new maps of Congress got more blue, yet for statewide, they're still voting more red on those certain areas. And so I think anybody would look at that like, how did I turn from a red to a blue district? And that's just because of how the lines are drawn. Now, I don't want to go into their backyards and say who's this or that. I'm just saying, just let's take a look at this. Take a look at this from Ohio, the Ohio governor election. Take a look at a couple of things right here.
Do you have an Ohio map?
I do. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So this is the election, and this was just a disaster. By the way, we got our asses kicked from the Democrat side. It was absolutely disgusting. So this is a governor election map. 62% for DeWine, 37% or 38% or whatever for Nan Whaley. And now take a look at the Ohio congressional seat map and their districts. And who's red and who's blue.
Is that what you're telling me there is that the Democrats put up a shitty candidate?
What I'm saying there is, I mean, that could be possible. That's possible, one of them. But this is how, if you look at all the statewide elections, they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So here's how this map looks now for Congress. I have to find the 2022.
What do you make of corporations pulling back from Pride Month?
Sorry.
There you go. Here's a good map. Here's a good map. And here's what it looks like for our congressional map.
Okay.
Now, now one could look at this and say, hey, there's 10 Republican congressmen and 5 Democrat Congress people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty much, what is that, 66-33 split, right? That is pretty representative of the split from the governor.
But here's the issue. Here is right now.
And look at the blue. Look at the blue areas too. You have the Cuyahoga, you have the Columbus, you have a little bit over here on the east of Columbus. It's pretty much the same area. So you're like, okay, we had the outliers are Marcy Kaptur, who is up there in the blue in the Northwest, there on the top left. She is a 42-year incumbent. You're not beating Marcy Kaptur. You're just not, right? And down at the bottom there is Cincinnati's been turning a little bit more blue, and that's all of Cincinnati there. So it's barely blue. So honestly, it's pretty accurate, even though we say it's gerrymandered.
So here's what makes me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a solid blue area in, what is this? Cleveland.
Yep.
You get this lighter blue area.
Pat and Akron.
You're telling me this 1 5-mile stretch is that red?
That was my district that I ran in, actually. Yeah.
And
I won those cities.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
It's
Yet,
true. It's true.
yet
I'm
it's
looking at
still red, and the Republicans, the Republicans are saying no. There's no gerrymandering going on.
100% there's gerrymandering. I'm just saying that there is gerrymandering on both sides, and we have to find a way that makes sense for the statewide elections to have statewide representation in Washington, because it's always going to be messed up, and I just don't know what that is.
Yeah,
But
independent. There's got to be an algorithm that's put together by people like Josh Hawley, who's willing to steal from the Democrats and at least make it look like
I agree.
And
Oh, let me just ask you this question then. Out of the 15 representatives that Ohio has, if it was 8 Republicans and 7 Democrats, seeing that it's like 65, 40, 35 votes in statewide, do you think that would be fair though?
So I love big picture. I love big picture maps like this, but I also need to see the graphs or the charts, the spreadsheets. I'm also a numbers guy. Yeah, and as a political scientist, I also look at the history of where those changes in each county and when they happened. Did people leave the Republican Party when Jim Jordan started having his name spelled by the public GYM? When there was a major opinion shift,
right?
One
so
way or another.
And that's a really good point, because if you look at this map, like you said, there's a light blue, and then next to it was my district, Ohio 7th, the one I ran in. And so if you look at the cities that are red, because Max won that district, they called it light pink. But like, if you look at like right left of the dark blue, there's that little pink nub right there. That's where I live. I won that whole area by like, I don't know, I think it was like 60-40, and then the other light blue pink over there, that's I think that's the Solon area. And I won Solon. Solon was my best performing city. I think I got 68% of the vote there. So it drives people crazy in these cities to go, I can't believe I'm in a blue city and I have a Republican representative. It makes no sense to them. It also makes no sense to the 40% of the people that voted me in this big pink area that's down in the belly of that pink area. 40% of the people in that area voted for me. Right. And so they're probably pissed off. Like, I'm Democrat. I know that 40% of us are Democrats, but why do we keep getting unfair ways to get a map? I'm always going to have a Republican congressman. There's no way around it. I'm always going to have a Republican congressman. Where's our representation?
Are you going to go? Are you going to go again for a third shot? Next year?
We are drawing our maps. So we are in the same. So this is what I wanted to say before we're done about this whole thing. I think that I wonder if this was a big long-term plan from the Republicans, because the party in power usually loses the midterms or has a big trouble in the midterms. And they have the opportunity now to redistrict. I think it's either 3 or 4 states that could actually put it in a way that they have the majority still after the midterms. And Ohio is one of those. We are drawing our maps again. And so you see those light blue places there. Those light blue places, I don't know why in any way, because we have the state legislature is all Republican with super majorities. The Supreme Court of the state of Ohio is 6-1 conservative, and we have a Republican governor. I have no clue why that they would not draw out those 3 congressmen and have us have a 13-2 Republican congressional delegation. I mean, if it was the opposite way around, I don't know why the Democrats wouldn't. Like, you have the opportunity right now to pick up 3 seats in Congress. And they're talking about the same thing in Texas. And they're talking about the same thing in, I think it's New Jersey or something. I can't remember what it was, but there's other places that are doing this right now. I think 4 states, maybe even 5, that are drawing maps again. And so these could be instant pickups just by drawing those lines differently.
Here's a question. I just don't know the answers. That's why I'm throwing it at you. I thought this was only done with the census.
So in Ohio, what it was is they had a fair districting legislation a while ago on that went through the people, and they said, hey, we want fair districts. And they made the provisions of how you have to do that. They have to be constitutional. They have to be this much of the governor's election results, and you can't split up counties. They had all kinds of rules. The problem was, and if anybody was actually thinking, because here's what I found out about initiatives and ballot initiatives from the people, is they're good intention, but it's too hard to organize a lot of people to actually think of nuances. And so if anybody thought of the nuance of that bill, they would know that the person who's in charge of drawing the maps are the people who are elected. And so that's our representatives.
Mhm.
And they would have put that to an independent commission at that time, but they weren't thinking because it's too hard to have, they might have been thinking, but it's too hard to think about it and have the nuance and get people together to get on the ballot and do it. So this is what they did. The fact is the legislature, which is now a supermajority Republican, just said, screw it, we're not listening to the law. Like, we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want. And so
Yeah.
they took over the House and the Senate that is disproportionate to what they were supposed to be. And now they have the ability to just say thumb their nose at the constitutional amendment, because it's going to have to work through the Ohio law to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is 6-1 conservative. Now, the Supreme Court was 5-4 conservative a couple times, and the Supreme Court was saying like these are unconstitutional maps. And even when the conservative judges was like, this is an unconstitutional map, and Judge O'Connor was one of the people trying to make fair maps in Ohio. This was her thing. And so it was going through the court, and they're saying, hey, these are unconstitutional. But this legislature was like, okay, cool, do something about it. and so what do you do if you just say, I'm not? I
don't. That's why I'm all for the U.S. Marshal Service being put in the judicial branch, and I'm all for non-elected equivalents to a sheriff's department, because I know sheriffs are elected. Also, they could also be just as Republican as the
Right.
corrupt legislature. But some law enforcement wing being put in with the judicial branches so that they
But
can.
it's such an interesting
enforce
argument, because if you have equal branches of
doesn't-
government, like who listens to who? And anyway, long story short is they're not listening to each other. They did the maps that they called unconstitutional. Now they have the opportunity to do it again with the congressional maps, because what happened is yes, you do it with the census, but if it's unconstitutional and you can't get your shit together, they deemed it as the solution being only 4-year maps. They said, okay, these will only be temporary. Let's do this again when we get our shit together. And now that it's 4 years later, they have to do it by November 30th. But the Ohio House and the judiciary is now even more Republican or more conservative or more whatever you want to call it. So it's almost impossible, in my opinion, for them not to finagle this map to even be more red. And nobody do anything about it.
Here's my glaring issue with where I know cities to be, and I don't know Ohio well, but look at that, the dark blue up in the top right. That's Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Why is that all one district? If this is at all by population, why is that not 2 districts and therefore 2 Democrats?
That was actually part of, I think, the last, and I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it was the last spare districts vote that the Ohio had, is that what they were doing before is they were splitting up Cleveland to dilute different votes. And so Cleveland was being drawn into like red areas or whatever to dilute the Democrat vote. And they said, hey, we're all Democrat. We're always been Democrat. You can't split up Cleveland or Columbus anymore like that, just to dilute the vote or do finagling on the other side.
But what I'm saying is that blue district, that is one solid blue district.
Uh-huh.
Why is that not 2 solid blue districts?
Oh yeah, population.
You're saying you don't have enough?
No, that is 780,000 people in that area. Every little district there has 780,000 people.
Okay.
And it just so happens that area of Cleveland right there, and they drew around, is 780,000 people. The place in Columbus is 780,000 people. Cincinnati over there, going into like Dayton area, is 780,000 people.
Okay. So those sizes are based on an equal number of people.
Of population, yes.
Okay.
and Cleveland can't be split or Columbus can't be split because they say, hey, we're a certain city. You can't split us up like that to dilute our Democrat or Republican leaning.
Okay.
So for example, if you split that blue up at where Cleveland is and threw it into the West there, that would be also unconstitutional.
Okay. I'm just saying I didn't realize that it was already that size because of the number. You know, I thought maybe it was also capable of becoming 2 and still competing in number with the other districts. But if that was already a major consideration, then
Yeah. So they draw it in the consideration of it being roughly around 780,000 people per little draw.
All right. Well, we're coming up on that time. We're not going to get to Bill Burr today. We'll have to save him for next week. Maybe there'll be enough of a pissing match during the week. It'll still be relevant.
I haven't checked Twitter or anything. It looks like we have 32 people still listening on Twitter for some reason, and 15 people on Substack.
Right. And the Substack's not coming up on here, but we're also getting some good numbers on radio as well as my Twitter Spaces, the audio-only version, has a good crowd also. But speaking of good crowds, where the hell do you go now? Hey, you there, Sport Cat?
I'm here. I'm bringing your favorite redneck crowd.
Yeah, there it is. Sport Cat's Daily Gazette is up next. Matt and I are finished for a week.
He didn't even say neck. He said neck. Redneck.
Redneck.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, by God. Get it right.
Yesterday he was a racist.
Yeah, I'm racist, so.
Yesterday, some of my audience called him a racist.
Yeah.
Why? What did you do?
I told white people to stay out of Cincinnati.
Are you in Cincinnati?
No, I'm in Atlanta. I'm a minority here, for God's sakes. I told everybody, if you want to get your ass beat down, go to Cincinnati. That's what I was talking about. So,
hey, okay. So first of all, I'm in actually Cincinnati right now.
Okay. So you're beating people down? You racist?
I am. Well, I'm here for. I heard it's a new Spectator Sport, so I've got tickets. But they want to make sure that you know that didn't happen in Cincinnati. That was Kentucky because it was across the line on the bridge. So when the beatings started happening, it was. Oh, wait, which one are we talking about? Are we talking about the ice one, or are we talking about the one downtown?
We're talking about the 2 white people that got beat down.
Oh, that one. There's been so many these days. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's true. And see, Cincinnati. If you're white, don't go. You'll get beat up.
Doing in Ohio.
There was the ice protests on the bridge that crossed from Cincinnati to Kentucky.
I heard about that.
Yeah. You know, Ohio didn't put up with that shit. They took care of that. So
no, that was Kentucky, sir.
Oh, Kentucky took. Well, good Southern state. Keep those Yankees in check over there. So.
All right. Well, you guys have fun south of the Mason-Dixon. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well,
all right, buddy. I'll see you next week.
We'll keep all of your products. Y'all can do whatever you do. I don't care. So,
for those of you joining Matt from Matt's Twitter and Substack, follow Sportcat by going over to YouTube and searching Sportcat. Oh, no, he just cut him. Oh, no, he doesn't. Okay. Searching Sportcat shows or
come over.
On any of the Mastiff Media radio network by going to www.mastiff.media. I can put that on the thing here. I've been using that.
So you'll be proud of me. I'm beating not only white people down, I'm beating Trump down today too. So there you go.
There you go. Look at you. I'll make you a libtard yet.
Hey, easy. Easy. Fighting words in the South.
Yeah. I go around. I don't say that once I leave the house.
That's right. You'll get a beat down in Tampa.
That's right.
And there'll be old white people with canes and walkers beating you down.
Not in Tampa. Tampa is very blue, as is Clearwater and St. Pete. Once you cross that line, you have crossed a line.
Those old people beat your ass down with canes and walkers. By God, don't you mess with them.
And they'll run you over with their golf cart.
Hey, I've seen people die from golf cart accidents.
Oh yeah.
So
but when you see how the assholes drive the thing, it's no wonder.
Oh yeah, well, that's kind of the way it happens. So you hit a speed bump at 40 on a golf cart. Good things don't happen.
Why are you going 40 miles an hour in a golf cart?
I don't know. They were old white people, so I have no idea. Yeah, that was it was a mass casualty incident of old dead people. So, but that's another story. All right, man, I got a show to do. We got people to beat down and audiences to stir up. Everybody come over and find us, join the chat, because unlike Ross, unlike Ross or Yergs, I am not organized enough to be able to put Substack, X, all these things on, because I don't know how. I'm the old white person that doesn't know technology. So
when you're a guest on a Restream show, you can connect 2 of your own social media channels.
Oh, well, we should do that sometime.
And he's live on. Yeah, I should just leave this up and connect you.
There you go.
We got to play with that. We got to play with that, and also the phones this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm driving to Knoxville tomorrow, so.
Okay. Then we'll wait till you get back.
Well, that may be a month, but okay.
I mean, well, actually, you tell me. Do you want to have it in Knoxville too, or?
Well, I could just do it on the laptop. So yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll get you set up there, and you'll be able to call Sportcat the way you would have been able to call me if I put this up today. But Matt and I were having at it all day. 1-888 Yergs and 844-GAY-LGBT for Yergs Radio and Rainbow Radio. We got some other vanity phone numbers coming soon.
Hey, I want equal rights. I want 1-800-REDNECK. So
well, I'll actually look to see if I read. Oh yeah, that's 7 too. Good for you.
Hey, I can count. I didn't even have to pull my britches down.
Yeah. Well, believe me, the only thing I pull my britches down right now is to get the number 0.
Yeah, well, no, there wouldn't be much looking at me. So yeah, I'm with you, brother. You hit 50 and shit just starts falling off. I don't understand.
I used to be like porn star status too. I don't know what the hell happened.
Well, I was too. Then I hit 50. So
yeah.
John Holmes kept it up to like 60. I moved
to well, then he died. So I think I'd rather just not be naked in the locker room anymore.
There you go. All right, man. Well, let me get out of here. Everybody come over and join us. We've got a great chat on YouTube. You can find it by searching out the Sportcat shows, or the Para are normal, 3 words. And then we spell guys, Guyz. So you can come over and find us there and join the chat. We've got a great chat, and well, we'll have all kinds of fun today. We're bashing Trump. We're bashing Cincinnati people. I think there's some other people. We're even bashing Texas. So see, we're equal opportunity.
There you go.
So, all right, my friend, have a great day. I will probably chat with you over the weekend. We'll make sure we got everything set up right. Talk to you soon, my brother.
Yep. Drive safe.
All right. Thanks, man. See you soon.
Sportcat's Daily Gazette is up next. He's already got it on the radio, and you can jump to YouTube and search either Sportcat or go to Para or Normal Guys with a Z. That's it. I'm out for the weekend. I will see you on Monday. Jane Stahl joins me on Monday for Both Sides Now, and also that's only for one of the 2 hours, and Up the Middle will be for the other. That's it, gang. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs. I'm Yergs. That was Matt Deemer with me earlier. We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
The average radio listener listens for 18 minutes. The average Yergs fan listens for, are you ready for this? An hour and 20 minutes. How can that be? Answer most commonly given, I want to see what he'll say next.
All right, okay, fine. But what about the people who hate
Yergs? Good point. The average skater listens for 2.5 hours a day.
Look, but if they hate him, why do they listen?
Most common answer, I want to see what he'll say next.
You've changed. You know that?
Yes, I suppose I have. How about this? Peace, love, dope.